Guilty on all counts. It's breaking news tonight. That's the verdict from a jury late this afternoon. Good evening. I'm Matt Mulcahy.
And I'm Megan Coleman. Dahviere Griswold is now the third person convicted of the murder for the shooting death of 11-year-old Brexialee Torres Ortiz. Brexie was killed in January of 2023. She was a student at Blodgett Middle School in Syracuse. Brexie was class president and also captain of the school dance team. She was just 11 years old when she died.
She was shot walking back to her family's apartment from a corner store after getting milk to help with the family's preparation of their dinner that night. We learned during the trial the shot that killed her entered her upper back, struck both of her legs, and hit multiple organs inside her. This just in, less than an hour ago. This is Brexie's mother exiting the courtroom, surrounded by family. We can see on her face she's going through a lot emotionally. That comes with a guilty verdict and, most importantly, being reminded of the loss of her beloved daughter. Family and friends embraced her near the elevator just before they exited the building. Our Samantha Cross is live at the courthouse right now following this breaking news. Sam, certainly an emotional moment for the family, but the news they were hoping for.
It really is, Matt. And 1 week ago, this jury was being selected. Testimony was just beginning. 6 full days later, the jury delivering justice for the family of Brexialee Torres Ortiz. You may remember jury deliberations resumed after the jury requested that the judge, Ted Limpert, re-explain certain elements of the law as it pertains to this trial. After spending many hours Friday afternoon, the jury returned today and was clearly spending time going over video evidence and how the law reads. Twice, the jury asked to see videos from the crime scene that night in January 2023. Video that showed Brexie returning home from a corner store with a gallon of milk to help her mother cook dinner for the family. That's when she found herself in the middle of a drive-by shooting that ended her life on Martin Luther King Jr. Day right in front of MLK School. Now, the 2 other co-defendants in that car took plea deals to avoid trial and receive a lighter sentence. As far as Griswold, he now faces a potential life sentence, and he will return to this courtroom on July 2nd. At this point, he will remain in the local jail with no bail until that court date. Live in Syracuse tonight, I'm Samantha Croston.
All right, Sam, thank you. And we just heard from the prosecutor, Rob Moran, in this case. We're going to hear from him coming up tonight at 5:30 as our coverage live from the courthouse continues. Continue to follow breaking news tonight out of downtown Syracuse. Late this afternoon, a jury finding Dahviere Griswold guilty on all counts of murdering 11-year-old Brexialee Torres Ortiz. Good evening, everyone. I'm Megan Coleman.
I'm Matt Mulcahy. The jury deliberated beginning on Friday, finished this afternoon, convicted Griswold on every charge after spending a couple of days scrutinizing the evidence and the law in this case. 2 co-defendants had already accepted plea deals before this trial. Griswold is now the 3rd person heading to prison for the murder of this innocent child who was killed during a shooting just feet from her home.
This happened in January of 2023 on Martin Luther King Jr. Day in front of MLK School and just yards from a street named after this civil rights icon. Brexialee was coming home from a corner store where she just went to get a gallon of milk to help her mom make dinner for the family. Mary Keeler's live in Syracuse tonight. She spent the day in court waiting for the jury to come back with their verdict. Mary, take us inside that room as we heard guilty on all counts.
Yeah, around 4 p.m. this afternoon, after 6 days of an emotional and traumatic at times trial, the jury handing down a guilty on all counts verdict. And in that moment, I was looking around the courtroom. Around me, Brexialee Torres, Brexie's mom, she quietly was crying. She had her face in her hands, not making much noise, but clearly just emotional about the verdict being read. And directly behind me, we had Dahviere Griswold's family and friends. They were holding hands, breathing heavily. Now, throughout this trial, the jury heard testimony from experts and police officers on the scene the night of the drive-by shooting that took Brexie's life. They also watched body camera footage and other surveillance videos from the crime scene that night, just before and after the shots rang out. That was evidence that the jury asked to see twice more during deliberations. Griswold's lawyer remained clear in his message to jurors, saying video never showed his client had a gun, fired a gun, or was in the car from which shots were fired. Authorities say another man, Israel Cruz, was the intended target that night. Prosecutors telling us this afternoon justice was served.
Everyone's still processing all of this. Everyone's still trying to figure out how it all fits in with their overwhelming grief.
overwhelming grief, and we did pay attention in the courtroom when that guilty on all counts verdict was read. Dahviere Griswold himself appeared to be emotionless, didn't move or make any sort of emotion known on his face. He was shackled in handcuffs and led to jail immediately after that guilty verdict was read. He faces a potential life sentence when he comes back to this courthouse in July for sentencing. Live in Syracuse tonight, I'm Mary Keeler.
Mary, also fascinating, as we listened to the prosecutor after the case, how they put together circumstantial evidence, which included the heavy use of technology, cameras at various points in the city of Syracuse that showed these three shooters all together. What else did the prosecutor say about that today?
Yeah, and that was the last note from the jury today when we were just waiting around during these deliberations. The last note from the jury was actually to have the judge read out the difference between circumstantial evidence and other types of evidence when you are determining guilt in a trial. So that's clearly something, as they requested the videos over and over again, that they were going back to as they made this very careful decision.
An emotional day, certainly, for Brexie's family and for the whole community who loved her so much. Mary, thank you.